All right, and we are live. Welcome, welcome. This is a special time for Tip Tuesday. We're super excited today. We're broadcasting here in the Online Business Builders, also over on our Facebook page, our business page, and most importantly, and excited to make it an evergreen option over on our YouTube channel, Ask David and Dana. So I am delighted, guys, to introduce to you the man that you see here on the screen. I'm not even going to say your last name because I know how to say it, but it never comes out right. It's
Sure.
Ike. I think everybody knows Ike. And if you don't know Ike yet, you will, and you will love him. He is a true man of God. And our paths crossed earlier this year, and I've just loved how God is working in both of our businesses and our lives and has brought us together. And if you don't know, Ike is the founder of the Righteous Billionaire Movement. Think about it. I'll say it again, Righteous Billionaire Movement. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty exciting, and I can't wait to hear more about that. Also, the Manifest Wealth Safety Program is his baby. And if you're trying to grow wealth safely, that seems pretty wise to me. He's been a business growth strategist, a CPA, an accountant, success and mindset coach. I mean, I think, Ike, when I hear about all the things that you've done, it just, you wear a lot of hats and you're very, very motivated for success. So tell us, well, first of all, we're so glad to have you. Um, Tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and some of the first memories of the United States.
Sure. Well, thank you for that introduction, Dana. I mean, there's a weightiness behind that word, righteous billionaire movement. It almost like jerked me on the inside when you said it. But also, when I listened to your introduction, I felt like I should be like this old man coming out on the stage with a cane, with all the things that I've done. Right? It's been a rich time for me. But would love to share a little bit about my background with you and with your audience. So I am what you would call a true African American in that I was born in Nigeria, in West Africa, and I hold both a US and a Nigerian citizenship. So, to all of my African Americans in the US, no slight, no shade, but I actually have the real, the real credentials
The
of
real deal.
the real deal, exactly. So, I grew up upper, what you'd consider to be upper middle class, and really enjoyed what many would consider to be a lot of luxuries. I mean, things like having a driver take me to school and take me all over our city, having a chef that we come home to, having maids, things that, I don't take for granted living in the United States now, where you'd likely probably have to be featured on lifestyles and the rich and famous to kind of enjoy those luxuries. But that was commonplace for me growing up. And speaking of some of my first memories of the United States, let's just say that they were interesting. For starters, I didn't realize how mean, um, at the end of the day, a lot of teenagers are, how they can be growing up in the private Catholic high school that I attended. So I was, fresh meat, kind of fair game as the new kid on campus who happened to be from a foreign country, right? Had a little bit of an accent at the time. So I got picked on a lot. And because I didn't understand the culture, I did my best at renditions of Muhammad Ali. I got into a lot of fights. And so that was pretty interesting. Beyond getting used to what I call a bit of a culture shock, a deteriorating value of our currency, and probably what I'd say was my dad's lack of really, really good planning in helping facilitate the transition of us leaving one country to come to another country. Those all contributed to make things kind of difficult and challenging for us. So I went from living in what some might consider to be the quote unquote lap of luxury in my country to my mom and all three of us as children sharing a 450 square foot apartment. Right?
Wow.
So talk about being in close quarters, so to speak.
Yeah, culture shock in the biggest sense, and and navigating through all of that.
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like to move into a new culture when we moved to Mexico. So I totally get that. But I did that as an
Exactly.
adult. I
Yeah.
can't imagine doing that as a teenager, when all your life that's all you've known, and it's
Hmm.
totally, totally changes.
Yeah.
When did you first figure out then that you wanted to have a serious relationship with money?
Yeah, I think the signs were there early. Going back to how we got here, I had to kind of, things were tough financially, so I had to kind of help make ends meet. So as a teenager, I'd get up at 3 a.m. in the morning to go throw a paper route with my mom for 3 hours, go to school, get off at 3, spend another 3 to 4 hours working at the local Goo car wash. So I had those makings there as a teenager. But even before then, I could go back when I was in Nigeria, as young as I was maybe 8 years old. We had this a bit of a family tradition where we'd go off to my grandfather's estate for the Christmas holidays, and our extended family would be there. So uncles, aunts, cousins, the whole nine. And all the younger kids would kind of do a little bit of a show and tell to kind of show how well they did for school that year. And based on good scholastic grades, we'd get rewarded typically with money. So at 8 years old, I took my dad's old briefcase and created a makeshift bank, and I started saving money. At 8 years old, my older siblings were probably buying toys or clothes, and I was stashing money away. So I
Yeah.
figured out how to save money at a young age. What I didn't figure out was how to stop the robbers from breaking in, older brother, older sister, and
Right.
robbing my bank. So that would almost be prophetic of sorts in terms of when I just think about, my life and how things have shaped. So those were some of the early signs. My mom was also an accountant, and my dad was a lawyer. So being the youngest of three kids and a certified, bona fide mama's boy, I know my mom's influence had a lot to do with me getting a degree in accounting, getting a master's degree in personal financial planning, and ultimately, kind of being in and around the financial services industry for the past 2+ decades now. So,
Oh, that's awesome. I just love to see how, God will use each of us in
yeah,
new and fun ways, and how he uses, our families of origin and all the experiences, and that those can all, speak into our lives, speak into
definitely.
lives. Well, I
Yeah,
know recently, we've emailed our list, so if folks, if you're listening and you've gotten some emails this week, Ike, this is who I am talking to. This is who I'm talking about in those emails. But one of the things that we talked about, or I mentioned in those, is that too many people don't let their money work for them.
mm,
And I, that was kind of an aha moment for me. We take it for granted. We try to earn it. We put it in the bank. We spend it. We do all of the things. But tell us a little bit about that. Enlighten us. What does it mean to have money working for us?
yeah. So it's part of what I feel like is a ingrained truth, sort of a destiny of sorts that I believe each one of us have a right to. So I'm a big believer in the whole idea that we have been created for abundance. As a matter of fact, as a believer, the word is very clear about the fact that Jesus Christ, our big brother, died, that he paid the ultimate price that we might experience abundant life. An abundant life for me is an abundance, it's a life that's filled with an abundance of what I call the 10 fruits of the Spirit. So we got love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self control. And the 10th one is money. And here's why I believe this to be true. You can't really have an abundant life and not have an abundance of money. There's a reason why Proverbs says that money is needed for everything. I think I heard Les Brown said that money may not be the most important thing in life, but it's right up there with air. So try doing without air and see
Yeah.
how that works for you, right? So I'm a big believer that part of living an abundant life and being in a right relationship with money is learning how to master money as opposed to being mastered by it. And that's a huge, huge distinction that a lot of people don't pay enough attention to. But money is the only thing that the Bible speaks of as being diametrically and directly opposed to the the richness of the relationship that you're supposed to have with your creator. And so he wants you to master it so it never threatens that relationship that you're supposed to have with him. So, what does that look like? What does it look like for you to be in a position where you actually have learned how to master your money? Well, it shows up in a bunch of different ways, right? I talked about in the emails that you guys have sent out the whole idea of getting to a place where you've got money working harder for you than you're accustomed to working for it. And that singular thought is really one way to avoid the devastation that's caused by those who follow what I call the mom and dad plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that are wondering, like, what is the mom and dad plan? I haven't heard that one before. Think of it as sort of the traditional path to financial planning that we all learned originally by our mom and our dads, and that really has been reinforced by and large, by the financial media, the financial services industry, but in fact ends up not working for you and many times works against you, right? So getting to a place where you've mastered money is you learning how to do some of the things that completely changes the relationship that you have with money. So I'll give you an example. In our Manifest Wealth Safely program, for instance, we design financial roadmaps for our clients that virtually guarantees that we can help anyone add $1 million in new wealth and 100,000 in passive income in 2 to 5 years. Now, one of the ways we do that is by exposing these individuals, average Joes and Janes, for lack of a better word, to what I would call family office type opportunities that are oftentimes reserved for people who have 9-figure net worths. So you get to experience the opportunity to see your money grow by as little as 1% to as much as 25%, not for the year, but per month. Now, you don't have to be a whiz kid to realize that when historically the mom and dad plan would say, hey, if you could make 7% on your money, you're doing good because that's historically what the S&P 500 has done, and you're actually doing better than the average Joe. Well, if you could do 7% per month, then you know that that's going to increase the velocity of wealth creation for you, right? So that's one example of one way we do that. I just talked about the velocity of money, right? And the velocity of money is a really, really significant financial principle that I teach in my first book called Winning the Money Game. So another example of mastering money is it's the idea that if you understand what the velocity of money is, it speaks to the ability to accelerate the creation of wealth by getting multiple uses of the same investment dollar. Now, think about that for a second, because for the vast majority of our working lives, for those of us that have been following the mom and dad plan, we take our money, we put it to work in a mutual fund, we buy a stock, we buy a piece of real estate, and that investment is all that determines the future value of that money. But how do the banks make money? Well, through what's known as fractional reserve banking, every dollar that you and I have on deposit, the fractional banking reserve system allows them to use 10 times the value of that. So it's like they're getting 10 uses for each dollar. Well, what if that same investment in a piece of real estate or stock or mutual fund that ended up making 7% for the year, that same dollar that you had allocated there could also be allocated elsewhere, and you're now getting the benefit of $1 working twice as hard? That's another example of putting yourself in a position where you master money and you have your money working harder for you than you're accustomed to working for it.
Wow, guys. Wow. I think mind blown. And if you guys listening aren't just like drooling and wanting more, um, yeah, that's great. Something exciting is going on this week. You've got a master class that you are going to be sharing more of these sort of tidbits and insights. That's on Thursday, right? What time is that?
That is coming up this Thursday, November the 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So do the math on your time zone: noon Central, 11 p.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Pacific. Those are all the ones I can remember. But do
Yeah.
the conversion, just depending on what part of the world that you're from. But it's what I call an opportunity to do a 3-hour deep dive at my masterclass. It's called How to Live Your Life on Fire, Financially Independent and Retired Early, so that you can fulfill your purpose while enjoying 6 figures in passive income. And so we show you how everything that you hope for and desire in life is tied to you finally coming to a place in life where you discover your purpose and you learn how to master money. And when you do both, you can step into this world, do great exploits, as the Bible says, and really initiate what I would call some legacy impacting changes that makes our world better for us, but also for the next generation to come.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. It is such a great opportunity for people to just really get clear on their purpose and really see what the potential really is.
Yeah,
How would you describe the perfect attendee? Somebody that should come and will walk away feeling like they got exactly what they've been looking for. Who is that
sure.
person?
Yeah, so there's probably three groups of people that come to mind right off the bat when I think about that. For starters, I'd say for the 40 to 60 something year old crowd, right, who feels like maybe as a result of setbacks in life, the vicissitudes of life, you may be feeling like you are behind the eight ball when it comes to preparing for a financially solid future, preparing for retirement. Maybe you hope that by now you might have accumulated $1 million in your nest egg, but you look and you find you only have maybe a few $100,000. And you're starting to feel like, I may just have to work forever to finally get to a place to where I can even consider retirement or be financially free. This masterclass is definitely for you. If you are a Christian entrepreneur or working professional who knows that you've been called to step onto a much larger stage in life. And when you look at what you're currently doing and how you're currently experiencing life, it's not matching up to that dream that you have. This masterclass is definitely for you. And then the last group that I would think this is a good fit for is people who I'd consider to be, visionary or purpose-driven entrepreneurs. You're out there, you're working really, really hard, and I mean really, really hard, trying to drive the vision for your company forward, but you haven't yet realized that life could be so much more fulfilling and rewarding if you simply learned how to get your money to work just as hard for you as you're accustomed to working for it. This masterclass is a great place for you to come hang out with us.
Oh. Well, I think I could fit myself into each of those categories, and I am registered, so I will
Awesome.
be there.
Awesome.
But guys, we will put a link for that in the notes and such, so you can get access to that or check my emails out. But I heard you say something that it's a 3-hour deep dive, and I'm thinking 3 hours. That is a huge time commitment.
Yeah.
Um, Although I've been to a master class of yours before, and Ed was a little overwhelmed at the start, but then it speeds by. It
Mhm.
really speeds by. But tell me a little bit about that whole how that unfolds.
Yeah, well, you and I both know that one of the best investments we can make is an investment in ourselves. So whether it's my masterclass or any kinds of opportunities like those will always pay dividends for you over the long term. But I love, love, love our masterclass format because for starters, it puts you in a state of what I would call full immersion as it relates to the topic at hand. And what we do is we break that topic down into three subtopics, and we dedicate a whole hour to each one of those subtopics. And so within each hour, it's typically structured to give us about 30 minutes of amazing content on that subtopic, about 15 minutes of Q&A to address those pressing questions that come up when you're in a state of fun, immersive learning. And then we reserve 15 minutes to go over resources that can help you get to the end zone faster and more efficiently when it comes to living your life on fire, financially independent and retired early, but also refired about your purpose.
I love that. I love that. All right. Well, I hope that all of you listening, whether you're watching here live on the replay, I see a couple more people jumping on, so it's good to have you here. Take seriously. I'm gonna read the name of that masterclass again because I just love it. But I wrote it down. I don't have it memorized on the tip of my tongue like you do, but it's
So,
how to live your life on fire,
yeah.
financially independent and retired early. Did you guys catch that acronym? You know, I love acronyms. FIRE, financially independent and retired early, so you can fulfill your purpose while enjoying six figures in passive income.
Yes.
So I mean, it that to me is. it just makes my heart happy. And
Yeah.
as believers, when our spirits are happy, we know something is moving, and we want to move toward it. So guys, take advantage of this masterclass. You
If I could
won't.
add one
Yeah,
more thing to,
please
if you don't
do.
mind, Dana, there's a very special gift we've put together for people. I'm a certified Y coach with the Y Institute. You're very familiar with that organization. They do
Hmm.
incredible work with my journey, my life story, everything that I've been through. I'm all about purpose and helping people discover theirs. And so, one of the gifts that we're giving is an opportunity to discover your why. It's a $50 assessment. You'll get to take this online. So everybody who registered, you're going to get a special coupon, a link that you can go to take that, and it will open up your world for you in terms of really bringing meaning to a lot of things that maybe over the years that you just haven't quite figured out why you feel like a square peg in a round hole or a round hole in a square peg or you don't ever really fit in. It will really pull all that stuff together and give you a lot of clarity and insight, not only about how you tick, but how you relate with other people and how you can start really branding yourself and really communicating in a way that attracts people to you that are supposed to benefit from the gift that is you. So do yourself a favor and take advantage of that opportunity. A legitimate $50 gift certificate. It retails every day for $50, and I've made special arrangements for everyone who attends to be able to do that for free.
That is awesome, and I appreciate that. I have taken that assessment, and I know how valuable that is.
Yeah,
So thank you for making that available to the folks that attend. You
awesome. You
won't be
are
sorry.
welcome.
You
No,
won't be sorry. So we're going to probably wrap this up. I like to keep them 30 minutes or less. But do you have any closing thought, any one last thing that you would just like to tell the audience? Word of wisdom.
yeah, I would just encourage the audience to, the last couple of years have been difficult. Not only have we experienced loss of life, we've seen people lose jobs, we've seen businesses go out of business, and far too often we let our environment, the facts of our life, determine our future, what tomorrow is going to look like, and that's one of the worst things that we can do. Sometimes we look at our past and we start, having our past speak as a prophecy to what our future should look like. And that's also one of the wrong things, worst things you can do. As believers, which I believe, the vast majority of your audience tends to be, the truth is what matters. And part of the truth that I hold on to is found in Deuteronomy 1:11. And there's a very specific promise there that the Lord desires to bless and increase you, not 10 times over, like Cardone would say, not 100 times over, like Pedro Adeo would say, but 1,000 times over. So think about that. That is your promise. That is your destiny. It doesn't matter what the current environment or what your current situation says. This is where you're headed. And part of why I'm really, really excited about helping people uncover and discover their purpose is because once they do, man, they are, again, not to play on words, they are on fire for what that future looks like because it becomes so clear and so vivid for them. So I just want to leave the audience with that is to keep hope alive, keep your eye focused on the future, not the past, not necessarily the present, what's going on, but what's been prophetically declared over your life, and it shall come to pass.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you, Ike, so much for giving us this time today. That has been a gift in itself. It's been great. It's always wonderful spending time with you, but to get to share you here in our different platforms, I'm so blessed by that. So, um, everybody listening, have a marvelous day. You know what to do next, and be safe, be well, and be blessed. See you next
Indeed.
time.
Thanks for having me, Dana.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it.
Bye bye.